Good morning and welcome to Sports Central, brought to you live and exclusive on Spectrum Television, all the way from the beautiful hills of Ibiakeren here in Akwa Ibom State. My name is Funny Tina, but if you call me the Big Step, I would be best of friends. A lot of exciting stories in the world of sport. We've got Team Nigeria in the Karate Championship doing quite well, and they already arrived in Cairo, Egypt for competing at the World Karate Championship, which will be this week. We also have news from basketball, where in the NBA, the Detroit Pistons made history, this morning when they got their 13th win of the season and the 13th straight win for them as well. Also in the world of football, last night at Old Trafford, it was a catastrophe for Ruben Amorim's men as they were beaten by 10-man Everton. Well, these and many more would form the crux of our conversation today on Sports Central. But before we start, we'll just take a look at what's trending in Sport Wrap-Up. Welcome back. We'll start with the local scene, where Team Nigeria, who departed Lagos on Monday, would arrive in Cairo, Egypt today, where they would compete at the 2025 World Karate Championship, scheduled for November 27th to 30th. The country would be represented by 5 athletes who have distinguished themselves through discipline, consistency and impressive performances in the build-up to the global event. The squad includes Loveth Ngozi Okoro, competing in the 50 kilograms category, got first Oriel Koha Samson in the 55 kilograms category, Constance Bode, who's competing in the 61 kilograms, Ujunwa Caroline Nwankwo in the 68 kilograms, also Oluwaseun Olorunbe. The team will be coached by Efezino Akpotu, with Olusegun Abode serving as the head of delegation. Ahead of the World Championship, the Karate Federation of Nigerian Board expressed confidence in the team's potential to deliver strong performances, but appealed to the National Sport Commission for urgent financial support. The Federation disclosed that it incurred debt to secure the team's participation and emphasized that the championship falls under the NSC's mandate. They also urged swift intervention from the Commission to stabilize the Federation's operations and ensure smooth execution of future programs. Nigeria and Egypt have also reaffirmed their status as Africa's leading para-table tennis nations after a commanding display at the 2025 ITTF Africa Para-Table Tennis Championships, which concluded on Sunday in Giza. The 4-day event featured top athletes from across the continent, including Nigeria, Egypt, Algeria, Cameroon and Cote d'Ivoire, and it also served as a qualifying tournament for the 2026 World Championships in Bangkok, Thailand. Nigeria topped the overall medal table with 6 gold medals, edging host Egypt, who finished with 5 gold. Cote d'Ivoire also made a notable impact through Bayala John-Pierre, who clinched a spirited silver medal in the singles event. Nigeria's success was spearheaded by 2024 Paralympics bronze medalist Ogunkunle Isao, who triumphed in the men's singles classes 4-5. The trio of Adesokpe Abiola Wali, Farinloye Victor and Lawal Kane, they added to the goal haul with victories in their respective singles category. Now to NBA, where just 2 years ago, the Detroit Pistons set an NBA record for consecutive losses in a single NBA season with 28. Now they cannot lose, as the Pistons tied a team record yesterday night with their 13th straight victory, beating the Indiana Pacers 122-117. Detroit matched the winning streaks of its 1990 and 2004 NBA championship teams and improved to 15 wins and just 2 losses for the season. It is a stunning turnaround for a franchise that started the 2023-2024 season with a 3 wins and a whooping 36 losses record and finished with just 14 wins. The Pistons have a chance to surpass all the great Detroit teams, and it's only fitting that these Pistons, like those old teams, would have Boston standing in the way of reaching a significant goal. Detroit visit the Celtics on Wednesday night in an NBA Cup game. Detroit had to get through another long-time rival, the scrappy injury-plagued Pacers, to match the record. Indiana showed the toughness of a team that played in the NBA Finals just a few months ago, but still fell to the side led by Kate Cunningham, the former #1 pick, who spearheaded Detroit's run to the top of the Eastern Conference standings. He had 24 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists to help the Detroit get the win in that particular game. And now next on our plate is the Super Falcons of Nigeria, as they are considering boycotting next month's FIFA international window unless the Nigerian Football Federation settles all outstanding bonuses and allowances owed since the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. Sources within the team confirmed on Sunday that players are still awaiting payment of match bonuses, camp allowances, and winning bonuses dating back to their participation at the Olympics, when Nigeria exited in the group stage after losses to Brazil, Spain, and Japan. A senior squad member who requested anonymity due to the sensitivity of the matter said the players had unanimously agreed not to honor any national team call-up until the arrears are cleared. The December FIFA window, scheduled for December 2nd to 10th, is expected to include friendly matches as part of the Super Falcons' preparation for the 2026 Women's African Cup of Nations qualifiers. However, the NFF has not released a provisional squad list or announced any confirmed fixtures as of yesterday night, and neither the teams nor their representatives had released an official statement, and the planned training camp expected to open next week remains in doubt. Now to football, where in the EPL last night, Idrissa Gueye's astonishing sending off for slapping his own teammate Michael Keane could not stop Everton from going on to secure a memorable win at Manchester United as Keane and Dewsbury Hall ended David Moyes' Old Trafford hoodoo. The former Red Devils boss had never won a Premier League match as visiting manager, and a moment of madness 13 minutes into Monday's meeting looked set to extend that record. Gueye was shown a straight red card after striking Keane during a heated row, but 10-man Everton dug deep, and Dewsbury Hall's curling effort proved the difference in the 1-0 victory against a toothless United side. It was the Toffees' first win at Old Trafford since 2013, when Moyes was in the home dugout and saw Ruben Amorim's side return to earth with a bump, having gone 5 matches unbeaten. The absence of injured Benjamin Sesko and Matthias Cunha was keenly felt in the night when Jordan Pickford proved an impenetrable last line of defense as Amorim tested defeat on the first anniversary of his maiden game in charge. These are all the stories we have for you on Sport Wrap-Up, but the show is not over. Just stick around. We'll come back after the break for a more exciting conversation. Don't go nowhere.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to another exciting time. We talk about exciting stories about the world of sports at the Sports Central. And my name is Bladen Ukem. A key feature in the world of sports would center around the world of karate. We'll also talk about table tennis from an African point of view, handball also taking center stage, and similarly, basketball stories regarding Nigeria's D Tigers coming to form when D Tigers in the power ranking in Africa, number 8. We'll get to look at insights around it. What's really happening to the D Tigers and why are they not doing quite well amid qualifiers are looking forward to. The world of NBA getting further exciting as you heard during sports wrap-up, talking about the Detroit Pistons, a heating-tating straight win for them, tying a franchise record is going to be that conversation. Well, a big wonderment taking place in the English Premier League. I would center around Manchester United is going to be a bit of conversation today as Iron Fund gets to do the magic this morning. Utua David missing out of action, not fully fit. Talking about Utua David, but Fontaine are ready to do it with me. Fund, good morning. Good to see you today.
Exciting day to be back. The day where we have pass 11 fitness test for the top scorer of the Champions League. Talking about Victor Osimhen to take on Union St. Gilos later this night, and the coach of the side, Okan Buruk, is sweating over the fitness of the man, almost looking as if Victor Osimhen is now an injury-prone player. But one thing about his injuries have been 3 of his last injuries have been from the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So there are question marks surrounding whether or not Galatasaray will be so happy with him coming for the AFCON in 2000 at the end of the year in December.
Well, the question will be what choice do they have anyway? Because he's the marksman for the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
We've seen, club sides deny players going to, their national teams. Lamine Yamal for Spain. All they have to do is feign an injury.
It's not a major tournament anyway. At a major tournament, you shouldn't be doing that. There are FIFA rules that guard against that at major tournaments, except the player doesn't want to come. And if the player says, well, I don't think I'm fit, I might not come, then it's a different kind of story. Victor Osimhen feigning injury, that would be disrespectful to the national team anyway.
How will we know?
And the quality of the player
anyway. The injury?
It would now bring further conversation. Remember what happened when Finidi George was questioning him and he came out to rant because the perspective was that at the time he was feigning the injury and he had to prove it, bringing out the doctor's report and all of that. But whatsoever, a player, instead of pretending, you cannot rightly say, I don't want to be part of it, and no one would beat you anyway at the end of it. Maybe social media talks, and afterwards, it's what it is. Well, we get to the thick of the conversation starting with the world of karate as Team Nigeria arrived Cairo ahead of 2025 World Karate Championship. Really something to really look forward to and talk about because it makes sense now what a postulation is for them. Well, we're talking about the squad and players that are making part of the squad as a tournament. Is the World Karate Championship is scheduled for November 27 to 30th of November. Well, the squad includes some top names now. 5 athletes have been distinguished themselves through discipline and consistency and impressive performance and build up to it. The squad includes Lovett Ngozi Okoro, talking about Kumite, 50 kg, and God Fest. In that direction, well, it's basically what it has to do at a different kg. Godfest Ori Okoha Samson, Kumite, 55 kg. Constance aboard the Kumite, 61 kg, and on and on. And some of the top players, Nigeria preparing for a karate tournament. I don't know, funny tonight, if you've really been following what's happening in the world of karate. Not often you get to talk about karate anyway, but Nigeria seems ready in this one.
Oh, definitely. I think it's just going to be a case when Nigeria tries to qualify for, the big one that's coming up in Bangkok in Thailand. So it's just a preparatory ground now. The women are doing well. I think we got only 2 names for the male, or 1 name. Yeah, I think 1 name for the male. So the rest are just female contingent. I just hope that the men get to sit up because when you remember the likes of when we used to really go to Olympics for Taekwondo, not karate though, but it was Taekwondo, almost similar. Yeah. We used to have a lot of male contingent. So I just hope whatever is happening there. And another important thing was that the Karate Federation of Nigeria came out to, say they borrowed money for this. They're in debt to, participate at this competition. Yeah. It's very sad. I think it's embarrassing for a country of Nigeria's stature that, a federation in the country has to borrow money to go for a competition. And it's now coming on, to social media and asking, please, the National Sport Commission, you have to help us. I'm sure they have sent letters across and they were ignored and all of that. So now they have to do it online and ask, use the power of the fans, the power of Nigerians to put pressure on the National Sport Commission.
Just try to bring some embarrassment somewhere, somehow find a way to twist their hand to get it. But it's a sad story in Fonitina. Most often than not, in recent times, you mentioned women being the bulk of a contingency and one male in that squad or that team, karate team going for the tournament. But a conversation would be in recent times we've seen the sports in Nigeria rather. You seen a number? It seemed like the women seem to be doing well, the Super Falcons compared to the Super Eagles, and the D Tigers compared to the D Tigers in basketball, and on and on and on. It becomes a question what's really happening to the men, that women are becoming the center point for Nigeria's sporting activities comparatively to the men. If you look at even in athletics, some of the biggest names are women, not necessarily men.
Definitely. I think when you look, even Tobia Musan, the likes of what's her name, we just switch allegiance now to Turkey, Favour, Philly. We're all having, you know, females being the flag bearers for Nigeria when it comes to sports.
So what's happening to our men?
I don't know. I think as a man, when you grow up in a family, your parents would, it's almost as if the whole weight of the family is on you. You have to do, sports is not that serious in Nigeria. Let's face it. In Nigeria, you cannot look at sports as an avenue to make it. That's just it. It's not an avenue to make it. But if you go to developed countries, sports is really out there, because what's the system like? If you want to be a footballer in Nigeria, how many years would you give yourself to make it in Nigeria? You go through Akwa United, they don't even give you a contract. Probably you're just there one season. The next season you're looking for a club side. Probably go to Katsina United, left, right, center, just keep moving.
Well, we've had some players that don't have to go through some of these clubs. Some players. It's not a crime. You can play for Akwa United and some of these big clubs since you earn good money.
There are these players like Brandon Williams in England. They started from Manchester United Academy to now they're still doing well. They still have a club side playing for. They have contracts. In Akwa Ibom State, how many players from Akwa Ibom State can we say have gone through the ranks of Akwa United and have become big superstars? You just mentioned maybe 10. That's just it.
Well, I can mention more than 10.
Come on. So we wouldn't know them. We wouldn't know them. They are not house. I'm talking about household names.
You're talking about
from the city of Manchester alone. They've got almost over 200 players who've made it.
You're talking about Manchester.
No, I'm talking about in Nigeria now and foreign, the foreign scene.
Okay, we understand we're not at that level yet, but I'm looking at the argument you brought when you talked about it and said that through sports you can think about making it.
Yeah.
A couple of people have made it through sports.
If you're serious-minded and your family is serious-minded as well, you wouldn't want to do sports.
Oh, really?
No, you wouldn't.
Well, I hear in recent times.
You know how to play basketball. You're telling your dad, I want to make it. You don't even have a basketball league in Nigeria. Come on.
Well, I can understand the limitations, but there are certain sports that people are still making it. We don't have to make it a blanket situation. We're seeing young lads, even in the world of cricket in Nigeria, are doing quite well.
Look at the Karate Federation taking loans to go for the competition.
It brings the next conversation. Are we paying attention enough to other sports? Before now, it seemed like football is fine, but you just said it in sports wrap-up. I know we're going to talk about it. The bonuses for the Super Falcons are not being paid. So if you're a home-based...
Even for the Super Eagles before the game against Gabon.
So if you're a home-based player, a big name for you going to the national team, and people at home are thinking you're earning $5,000 as bonus every day, not knowing that the money's audio money is not entering your accounts. Quite a sad story from a Nigerian point of view at the end of it. Well, we'll switch gear and talk about table tennis, and maybe some good hopes will take place in the world of table tennis. Is Nigeria Egypt at a medal haul, securing world championship qualification is that conversation. 142 that we've talked about it. Egypt were the host of the championship. Somehow Nigeria doing the magic and aging them, getting better of Egypt. 6 gold medals for Team Nigeria. Egypt 5 gold medals at the end of it. They're talking about the likes of Cote d'Ivoire and the likes of them, but a good qualification series for Nigeria and moving even further as the success was spearheaded by 2024 Paralympics bronze medalist Ogunkole Isa in that direction. Massive performance, the para table tennis tournament taking place in Egypt.
I remember when we talked about this last week, I was saying that Nigeria, we have strength in quantity when it comes to para champions, when it comes to people who are into para sports. I don't know why. Maybe we just have a lot of disabled people in the country, but then I'm happy to see them doing well.
You can have disabled people in the country and they're not really doing well in sports.
But when you have a lot of them, at least few do.
No, at least they're paying attention to the sports. Another way, it brings the conversation we had about earlier now, where you're saying people can think about making it in sports. But we're having these para superstars making it in sports. Otherwise, they would be on the road begging.
Are they making it?
Yes,
really?
they are. Yes.
Financially?
To a great extent, compared to the guy begging on the street there.
Yeah, definitely. Compared to the guy begging on the street, I think it's better.
Sometimes when we talk about making it, it's not just about money alone. The honor you have the respect, the value you have. Some of these Paralympics from Funnytown will go to certain places. No one will ask them for ticket. They want to meet certain personalities to open the door for them.
But if they go to the markets,
but I might want to go. I might want to go there, and come on, they won't open the door for me. Because come on, they ask a question. I can't say I'm Mr. Blyden. And I say, well, what do you mean by Mr. Blyden? But the Paralympian said, I'm an Olympian with my gold medal. Come on, he said, oh, respect Olympian. It's basically what it is.
I think that doesn't really work in Nigeria. Yes, over there, developed climes as a medalist.
Don't make it sound like they're wasting
let's
their time.
Be real with ourselves.
Well, you're making it sound like they're wasting their time. They're not.
No, I'm not saying they're wasting their time. I think it's even good because now someone on the street who probably doesn't have legs would know that, oh, what's that on TV and say, come on, there's something I can do. I can lift even without my legs, and then he sees that as
you can utilize
exactly. That's just the thing.
In place of a deformation, you can still make something out of your life. I quite agree with some point you've made in Funnytown in terms of more ought to be done. I think that's the conversation from that angle. More ought to be done instead of saying that it's nothing at all. Because someone listens to you from home, I feel discouraged to even take up sports. So that's what I'm trying to avoid, definitely. But more ought to be done. From a title point of view, let's go to the world of handballers. A title racing night as Handball League returns in Lagos. Well, the good thing is it's happening in Lagos. We don't know about Handball League in Nigeria, but not often you get to see Handball League everywhere. But the good fact is Lagos, it's clearing that platform, and we're having a Handball League in Nigeria. Something good to look forward to.
No, definitely. I think yesterday we were talking about, what was that? We were talking about with UT on the show. We were talking about basketball. Rivers Hoopers finally lost their title for the first time in 2 years to a team from Lagos State. And we were talking about that, apart from football, all these other sports, we have them centered in Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Abuja. And that's it. So that's the same thing now with
Those
handball.
are the big cities.
Exactly. We have about 3 teams from Lagos in that particular league. So when you look at it that way, it looks as if, do we have any team from Akwa Ibom into it? That's all we're talking about. In sports, generally in Nigeria, it's just, I don't know. I think it's
But in all of these, we look at the youth championship, Lagos not necessarily dominating. You talk about it, Do Delta most often.
Well, that's the amateur level. When you turn pro, Lagos is where it's at.
It all starts with.
Where would you have private institutions coming to sponsor you? We don't even have that in Akwa Ibom.
But it starts from the foundation, because when we look at it and talk about Port Harcourt isn't part of it, and some of these big cities. So what happens is the young stars are being trained in those states, Delta State and the rest of them, Bayelsa State are dominant when it has to do with the youth games, where the pool of the talent is. When they begin to mature, they move to Lagos.
Definitely.
And we now add them to Lagos.
From there, they move out of the country. That's just it. I think we have to do more, and just like I said yesterday, also it boils down to the fact that we have total dependency on the government to sponsor. It shouldn't be that way. Look at all different teams in the NBA. Bulk of them are owned by individuals. Bulk of them are owned by, most of them are owned by consortiums. These are private institutions. In Nigeria, every single team you see in the MPFO, maybe just a few of them, is owned by the government. That's just how it works here in Nigeria. I think when we, finally transition into a place where private individuals could come in to sponsor sports, and they see it as a way of making money, then we could have our sports get better.
Well, the big limitation also in all of this conversation is how they're going to make money, because a few private citizens are coming.
Look at Remo Stars. If Remo starts making money, what's wrong with you making money?
Do
the right thing. You make money.
Hard currency. Remo Stars, hard currency.
Exactly.
The owner comes in from Portugal. It's hard clubs in Portugal.
Exactly.
The question would be: is he really making lots of money from Remo Stars? Or he's bringing money from somewhere to fund Remo Stars?
Come on. He's making money.
You never can see that report.
He's making money.
But the question would be: how do we make sports profitable for sports owners or club owners in Nigeria? People investing in this country. And that is our conversation. You look at from a Nigerian Premier. We're going to talk about all of the somehow bringing football to the conversation. You ask the fans, are you paying for tickets? Definitely they're not. Even the Super Eagles games, fans are looking forward to government paying free tickets for them. And that's your conversation. It's not the same thing in other
I think it's a process. Before you get to where fans want to come and watch you play football, the stadium has to be nice. The atmosphere for the fans have to be nice. You see Manchester United, they just increased their ticket this season. They are playing badly, but fans still want to go to the stadium. There's a reason why that is happening. It's a process that's happened over and over again.
It's taken a long time. So, but in this conversation, we have to put that side by side with the development.
There are different ways to make money. That's why we're talking about Remo Stars.
Yes.
They have an academy where they're selling players every single year beyond limits. They sell players almost every year.
Take it easy.
You can make money somewhere before going. How much are tickets? How much are tickets? How much would you sell tickets?
It's not that easy selling players these days.
Well, I think Remo Stars have simplified it.
The good thing about it is when you sell a player once, it can cover you. The amount of money you sell can cover you for a long time.
Exactly.
So it sustain you till you're able to sell another player. But it's not like they're selling players every now and then. It's not easy.
Well, I think they sell players every year from beyond limits.
You're thinking funny, Tina. Well, we got to talk about basketball, and from a point of view of basketball, ahead of the first window of the 2027 FIBA Basketball World Cup qualifying series, Federation of International Basketball Association (FIBA) has released latest power ranking, and on that ranking, Team Nigeria are talking about the D Tigers are placed 8th on the ranking comparatively to the rest in Africa. Well, part of this conversation for me, well, I look at number 1 Senegal, number 2 Angola, number 3, and on and on and on. We're talking about Ivory Coast at number 4, Cameroon number 5, Egypt number 6, Mali number 7, Nigeria number 8, Cape Verde number 9, Tunisia number 10, 11, and on and on and on, even Guinea at number 12. Well, unfortunately, we've seen the struggle of the D Tigers. It was time D Tigers in any power ranking would be number 1 in Africa, but the stocks have really fallen.
Oh, definitely. I think that's what happens when other teams, start catching up to you. That's just it. I remember you asking a question about why our women's team still doing well. I think at this point, our women's team are still ahead of most of the teams from Africa. So that's why they're still doing well. Very soon, the gap will start breaching again. At the point, we're talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria dominating African football, the D Tigers of Nigeria dominating African basketball. What happened? What happened? That's the question. Even Aruna Quadri at the time, he was the best player from Africa. What happened? What's happening now?
No progression.
I'm just saying that we don't have that what did I call it now? They're not building on what is happening. They're just resting on their oars.
Actually, progression, bringing next generation.
Exactly.
Next generation. So it's just living on the older folks. What's really helping the Super Falcons environment, helping is the players that are coming in outside Nigeria, who are younger generation coming in to be part of the Super Falcons. If not, the rest of Africa would have caught up with the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Because you look at the bulk of the superstars coming in, players that were raised abroad coming in to play for the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Well, we move ahead and talk about basketball proper now, as we're talking about Rivers Hoopers. I thought you guys talked about it being dethroned yesterday. Rivers Hoopers.
Well, they released a statement today as well. So that's why they said they are ready to get their crown back next season.
It doesn't matter. Okay,
they've won 2 out of the last 3 times. I think it matters when the defending champion speaks. You answer.
They've lost it. That's it. Good stuff. We've always talked about Rivers Hoopers, and I'm thinking, is there no other team that could also show class and dominance every now and then at the African League?
Lagos Legend said we can do it.
Always going to be a Rivers Hoopers, and it had to be Lagos doing it anyway. And we're really hopeful some of these days we'll get to talk about maybe a Quibum Legend or Quibum something, a Quibum Hoopers and the rest of it. But it has to do with basketball. But it's all about initiative from Fonitina, trying to put things, spreading the tentacles into other sports. From a Quibum perspective, we agree we're doing quite fine, but it has to do with cricket. Every now and then
athletics as well. I think we have lots of names in
youngsters, absolutely, in athletics too. But the frontier could be extended, not just for Quibum, the South too. We have to see that gets to happen. And proper, we get to talk about football stories around the world. And now quickly, let's talk about the world of NBA getting further exciting, as the New York Knicks had a victory against the Brooklyn Nets, 118-100 for a 12th straight win over Brooklyn Nets. It seems like every now and then when they see Brooklyn Nets, they say, come on, it's good time to beat you, and they get to beat Brooklyn Nets. Quite sad, because if you cast your mind back, maybe 3 years ago, Brooklyn Nets was a top team, but the stock's really fallen. When KDB and a few other players left the side, and you begin to think about how the reinforcement has been for them. It's not really worked out for the Brooklyn Nets side, but the New York Knicks always have a way to beat a Brooklyn Nets side.
Definitely. They've defeated the Brooklyn Nets for the 12th straight time. So I think that dates back to, 5 or 6 years ago. So when you look at it, I think the Brooklyn Nets never want to face the New Yorkers. They just know it's going to be a loss. And also another game that caught my attention was the Detroit Pistons. Last season, they had the most losses ever in an NBA season, 28, and now this season they're on their 12th straight win. What a way to make a comeback. They say, walk silently and let your success make the noise. That's
what do you
Detroit
think has
Pistons
been the difference for the Detroit Pistons and that bouncing back and coming so strong, tying the franchise record?
Well, I would say, I think it's just about, the players stepping up to the party now, because when you look at what has been able to, what they've been able to get, it's that consistent. When you win the first game, you win the next, a confidence setting. That's just it. You cannot go into the next game and feel, oh, I might not win, I might win. That's what happens when you keep losing. Maybe you win 2, lose 1, win 2, lose 1. But when you are on a 12 straight winning streak, you cannot just lose games after that. If you lose maybe 1 and then you bounce back, that's what Detroit Pistons have benefited from this season.
Well, when he played the likes of Pacers, Pacers with Pascal Siakam being part of it, Siakam had 24 points.
Yeah.
But this one,
the Pacers have lost 12 games this season.
Cunningham has been quite emphatic for
and he's stayed fit for the Detroit Pistons. I think that's one of the answers to your question. Kate Cunningham was a little bit in and out last season, but this season he stayed fit since the start of the season. I think it's good news for the Detroit Pistons.
A former #1 draft went in that direction. Always going to have some top players be a #1 draft, and when they're available for the team, then they can change the narrative for the team. All the games that took place was the Cavaliers against the Raptors. The Raptors beating Cavaliers 110-99, and we're talking about we've talked about the Knicks and the man K-Towns having that victory with 37 massive points for them against Brooklyn Nets. Clowney are having 31 points. The Mavericks, on the other hand, were beaten by the Miami Heat 106-102, while the man Washington had 27 points and were also having 20 points in that regard. Well, I know fans really so curious about some of these. We've really talked about the Pistons. Let's maybe talk about one more game before we call it quits. I'm going to talk about football stories all around the world. Steph Curry scoring 31 points as the Warriors outpace and got a victory over Utah Jazz 134-117. Steph Curry always going to be the man of the party for them, but consistency has been a thing for the Warriors this season.
Well, the Utah Jazz has not been completely bad, but still they're not a good team. So if the Warriors had lost this game, I think it would be more, to their detriment than for the Utah Jazz. But then I think one thing the Warriors have done, one thing the Lakers have done that the Warriors have not done, is moving on from someone who is getting old. LeBron James cannot do it anymore. Steph Curry, I think he cannot carry that team on his back alone. They need to get someone to help him. I watched the last 2 Lakers game. LeBron just was more in a playmaking role for the Lakers. He wasn't even scoring the point again. He had just 17 points. Well, Luka Doncic had over 30 points. That's what needs to happen for the Warriors. But they're still dependent on Steph Curry. He's been their highest point, maker for, I think, majority of the games this season. They have to move on from Steph Curry.
They have to move on from Steph Curry. Other games that took place was the Trailblazers 115 against the Milwaukee Bucks having 103. The man Grant having 35 points for the Trailblazers, making difference against Portis 22 points. And the Pelicans getting a victory over the Chicago Bulls 143-130. Well, the man Bay having 20 points, and 20 points was enough against Dosumu's 28 points for the Chicago Bulls. As we said to go to talk about football stories, the Phoenix Suns were beaten, clearly beaten by the Rockets, Houston Rockets 114-92. Well, Thompson leading the pack at 28 points. Not our own Thompson, another kind of Thompson in this regard. Despite Brooks having 29 massive points. And Timberwolves being beaten by the Kings. Well, we've spoken about the Kings having 117 points against 112 points for the Timberwolves. And Anthony Edwards having 43 points. But despite hitting that amount of number, it wasn't enough against Morris, 26 points in that regard. It's basically what a conversation is all about as a Rocket roll past the Suns in that direction. A missing star, Kevin Durant. And similarly, Tyler Hero was the superstar, 24 points, scoring 24 in season debut as Heat H Mavericks 106-102. The multiplicity of a conversation in the world of basketball, in particular NBA, takes center stage. Tomorrow is another day. We'll give you details and reports of all the games that are taking place, consistency being the thing. Detroit Pistons, can they continue to have a wonderful run? 13th straight victory for them, having a tie of a record of the franchise. Hopefully next game, they add up the number and keep extending the record. For us at Spectrum TV, we always follow suit, extending the record. And now we'll go on a quick break, and when we're back, the conversation continues in the world world of football. We'll talk about the Nigerian Premier Football against Katsina Enyimba Football and 5-goal thriller. Definitely, Manchester United cannot miss the conversation. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's here, Sports Central. And my name is Vlad. Funny to show me for company going nowhere until we have to finish the show and hit the numbers to where it has to be. And what if football stories all around the world? We're beginning with the Nigerian Premier Football League. Certain games took place yesterday. We're talking about Katsina United getting the better of Enyimba Football Club. A 5-goal thriller. A Kano Pillars snap a winless run against high-flying Ikorodu City. And we're talking about Anas Yusuf in Continental Sport with Nasarawa United. Unfortunately, now quickly, games have taken center place in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Yesterday's games standing tall, or some of the games we had to look forward to. Most importantly, Kano Pillars against Ikorodu City taking place yesterday, and Katsina United beating Enyimba Football Club 3-2.
Well, for Katsina United, I think a former United player stood out tall in that game, Uche Collins, with 2 goals in that particular game to give Enyimba a loss. I think for Enyimba now, below the top 10 in the MPL for Latin, quite sad for them. And the coach has been sacked, but still no change of result. Maybe when they return home to Aba in the next game, they would have a win. But for now, it's still same old for Enyimba. But they gave a good account of themselves, definitely, against Katsina. For Kano Pillars, the new coach of the side, that was also a former United coach, talking about Usman Babagadaru. The man had took over and got the first win for Kano Pillars in quite a long time at the Mohamed Diko Stadium in Kano State. Rabiu Ali was he should be retiring, but I don't know why he's still playing football. He scored the first goal for them, and
the man is still scoring goals. So why do you want him to retire?
I think they need to move on for Rabiu Ali. Come on, this how prolific can he still get at that age? He's over 40, and he's still playing the MPL.
And Nigeria's Cristiano Ronaldo, if you want to say so.
Maybe
Nigerian Premier Football.
maybe that's also why Kano Pillars are in the bottom of the table. That's it.
Kano Pillars are bottom of the table. Struggle for them in recent times. It's been that of bad behavior from the fans. But when it has to do with football, the stocks have really fallen and now bottom of the table. Well, we talk about the likes of Enyimba Football Club, where Enyimba now looking at the table at the moment, and where they are 14th in the log. The last 5 matches for Enyimba, 3 losses, 1 win, 1 draw. It's not been a good story for Enyimba Football Club. Ikorodu City, who lost in this one. Second in the log is that conversation. Rivers United at 3rd. Nasarawa United topping there on log. Well, quickly we move away from the Nigerian Premier Football League, despite the fact that the likes of Anas Yusuf are in Continental Sport, but Nasarawa United, we got to see how long it can span them through the season. The season is still a long season. Well, quickly, let's talk about a sweet story from a Nigerian frontier. I say sweet, but sweet and sour. Here's why it's sour, because the Super Falcons are considering boycotting a December FIFA window over unpaid entitlements and paid bonuses. We saw during the playoffs, before the playoffs against Gabon, the Super Eagles of Nigeria had a meeting, refused to train. And guess what? I think the Super Falcons are taking a cue from the boys and saying, come on, the Eagles did it and they paid that money. Maybe it's time for us to do it. But Beacon to ask, because they're complaining about the bonuses right from when they went to the Paris Olympic, despite not qualifying from the group stage of the Paris Olympic, and they're asking for that bonuses that's not been given. It makes us to begin to ask a question after winning the Nations Cup. If they've gotten the $100,000 that the president promised them, it also beckons to ask if they've gotten the bonuses, or is it now in Nigeria before every tournament and event bonuses will come back. For a while, Fonitin, I know you're itching to talk. We thought that we've gone past this rate and this level, but sadly we only had good boys and good girls not causing trouble, so that's why we didn't hear anything.
Well, I think it's sad news for Nigerian football as in general, because when I heard that thing about the Super Eagles of Nigeria boycotting training, it was very sad, because For a long time, we didn't hear that.
And you couldn't blame the players.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Because they've been patient enough.
Exactly. So I think this is why most players will continue to choose European nations over us. In the next story, we'll get to see one of those players who've chosen another country over Nigeria. So it's quite sad because Nigerians were expected, but they come and play for us. You come play for Nigeria. You don't want to play for Nigeria. Why are you playing? They will discard you over there. Yes, they'll discard them, but they are sure of their stipends. If they get called off for a friendly, they get the allowance. That's just how it's done over there. They have pensions for footballers over there. That's the height of it. So when you look at the Nigerian scene, I think we have a long way to go in Nigerian football. For the girls, I would stand with them because they've been the shining light of Nigerian football for the past how many years. Just the last year they won their 10th AFCON. They went to the World Cup. They did so well in the World Cup, and I think it's pertinent for the NFF to find a way to settle the girls, give them what they deserve at this point.
Well, concern isn't just about giving them what they deserve. While we're having this story, we don't hear Spanish national team go through this. And when it's time for a tournament, you prepare for a tournament, after the game, you give them that bonus. It's no complaint. But it's only in Africa, not just Nigeria, that I keep hearing this. It happened in Ghana, it happened in Cameroon, it happened in African countries. And why is it so? And that's why I was worried when it was in Gabon or Congo that they promised the players to qualify for the World Cup $1 million. I hope that wouldn't bring a problem because we know they won't be able to pay each player $1 million. So that's anyway, they came out to debunk it and said they didn't promise $1 million. But let's see how it goes. Quite a sad story from Africa. It must, because if it affects Nigeria, definitely it's a concern in Africa. Quickly still from a Nigerian point of view, a former Nigerian under-20 invitee Owen Goodman has officially realized his ambition to represent Canada at the senior international level, despite previous discussion with Nigerian Football Federation. Well, you mentioned it as the next story, but many would argue not many really know Goodman in that regard. So
he's 20.
If he goes to Canada, where does he play his club football?
He plays for Crystal Palace. He's the third goalkeeper for Crystal Palace.
Third choice goalkeeper for Crystal Palace. Anyway, yeah.
He's definitely going to grow. He's definitely going to grow. That's it. So
we've had lots of Nigerian players.
He was invited for the under-20, I think, last year, and he didn't come because he was still trying to get logistical and administrative clearance, and that move didn't materialize at the end of it. And now he's representing Canada. He also could have represented England, but he chose to represent Canada. For him, he said out of the three countries, he feels the most connection to Canada. That's where he grew up, actually. So I think it's good news for the man, Owen Goodman.
You call it a loss down for Nigeria? Player prefers to play.
When you look at the goalkeeping department in Nigeria at the moment, I would say it's a loss for Nigeria. How many goalkeepers do we have? Stanley Wabali is close to 30. He's closer to 30 than anybody. Maduka Okoye, Nigerians are still not sold on him. So when you have a 20-year-old who's looking likely to have a remarkable career, choosing Canada over us, I would say it's a big loss for Nigeria.
Until he has a remarkable career, you never can tell.
When you're playing for Crystal Palace at 20.
We've seen players play for Crystal Palace and never get to be superstars.
Well, I don't expect him to play for Crystal Palace. Even if he plays for Millwall, he starts starting for Millwall. That's still bigger than what Stanley Wabali is doing here in Chipper United.
Go start for him, but you can't take anything away from. I wouldn't want you to disrespect Stanley Wabali because you're talking about a 20-year-old.
Yeah, I know.
Stanley Wabali's on his own. He might not be playing for Crystal Palace. In fact, if he plays for Chipper United, is the first choice, better than being a third choice at Crystal Palace. So Stanley Wabali for me, good goalkeeper, no matter how I want to talk about it. But there's need for growth to have other goalkeepers be a part of that mix. Well, let's see how we wrap this conversation as fast as possible. As Rangers have sacked Chief Executive and Sporting Director. Unfortunately, I don't know why they're sacking everybody these days. Chief Executive, well. Yeah. Most often than not, when a club is not doing well, the hammer goes to the coach. But when it gets to face the Chief Executive and the Sporting Director, they're going to sack everybody now.
1 month ago, they sacked the coach.
So in other words, what they're doing, they sack the coach. It's not enough. The entire board looks at it and said, it's like the Chief Executive is the problem. Things are not working. Actually. And Sporting Director,
we've got owners, so the owners are not comfortable with the way the club was being run. So everyone is going.
Could it be a change of fortune for Rangers Football Club now? What's happened now when you bring in new managers? Lots of changes takes place, but sometimes the club might nosedive. A typical example was Chelsea Football Club. New owners came in, and instead of going upward or going downward, and now just trying to recover.
I think for Rangers, they have always been known as Scottish heavyweights. So no matter how bad they do, they always still be one of the top teams in Scotland. So I don't know how they measure their own success, but for me, I don't think they can do any badly because would Rangers go to relegation? I don't think so. So that is going to be something still handy for the Scottish side.
Something handy for Scottish side. And now to the English Premier League. Pep Guardiola said he's sorry for confronting a cameraman following Manchester City's Premier League defeat at Newcastle. Well, that's what you get, especially when a
cameraman... It's becoming very dramatic these days.
When a cameraman, maybe it could be H is beginning to catch up with him. Things he used to do before, he's not doing them, doing different kind of things. Yeah, absolutely. But it's a story. Even the best of the best can be frustrated by losses. And that was the case for Pep Guardiola. Well, I had to talk about that before talking about Manchester United. And quickly, as we heard that United 10-man Everton got a victory over Manchester United yesterday at Old Trafford. A first time this is happening for David Moyes going away at Old Trafford. I think the last time the loss was 2013. I heard when you were talking about it during the sports wrap-up. The lost, and David Moyes was the manager at the time. And despite Gay getting a red card for a slug on his fellow player Keane, the teammate here. But a conversation is United played 77 minutes with extra man and couldn't equalize. Everton 1, Manchester United 0.
I hate you having to talk about the system at Manchester United because even the coach will come out to say, okay, when we win, it's not the system. But then you ask yourself, your opponent is down to 10 men. And then you have an opportunity to capitalize. You see playing with 3 defenders. What do you need 3 center halves for? You're supposed to be attacking. Supposed to throw an extra man. That's what happens in other teams. But this man still maintained 3 defenders till the end of the match. He did a substitution at the point. Took one of the center backs. I thought he was going to change it, but then he brought Ahmad from where he was playing back to win back. I was like, what's this man doing?
Are you embarrassed by Manchester United, fan?
Embarrassed? I think they should be embarrassed of themselves. I don't need to be embarrassed of Manchester United. It's an embarrassment for a team like Manchester United to lose to Everton, a 10-man Everton at Old Trafford. Everton are in the bottom half of the table.
You really sound embarrassed by them.
I mean, Manchester United are embarrassed of themselves, not me.
I'm just trying to poke you. Don't worry. I can understand. As a semi-stakeholder, you're not happy about the situation of Manchester United. I mean, while we move ahead and talk about the Champions League as we close, as Marco Silva explained that Chukwueze needs to fight for starting berth. It could have been a conversation I want to talk about, but Samuel Chukwueze of Nigeria has to do more.
He's struggling for fitness, according to Marco Silva. He wants the man to be more fit so he could play 90 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know what it means by fitness. Chukwueze has never been that physical anyway. And that's it.
When you're talking about staying free from injury, he's been injured quite a lot since he joined Fulham.
I agree. Well, we hear the Chelsea point of view. That receiver, Cole Palmer, injury bust. Remember, Cole Palmer returned from that a groin injury.
Surprisingly, Chelsea fans are saying we don't want him anymore. We're doing well. So surprising.
Well, Victor Osimhen also faces lead fitness test for the games today in the Champions League. But quickly, let's talk about the games we're looking at in Champions League as we close. Chelsea against Barcelona seem to be top of the log. Manchester City against Bayer Leverkusen. Olympic Marseille against Newcastle. Borussia Dortmund against Villarreal. Ajax against Benfica. I'm trying to tell which one stands tall. Definitely will be Chelsea against Barcelona. Have a conversation around it. What are we expecting? What are we looking at? Who wins it?
Marcus Rashford comes back to England again.
Yeah.
And he loves scoring against Chelsea. He scored quite a lot of times against them. If he gets to start today, maybe another goal in the Champions League for the man. Also, Lewandowski has been in fine form since returning from that injury.
Yeah, Rafinha returned
definitely. So let's see what Barcelona will be able to do. But I would say it's going to be a difficult game for them against Chelsea.
What's
Chelsea
your
have
prediction?
always been the Achilles, heel for Barcelona when it comes to English teams.
We've seen recent form for Barcelona. It doesn't seem so good. I went to Club Brugge. Many would say injury prone. Pulled a draw against Club Brugge. I waited a game there. They were beaten by which team there now? And is that conversation even Sevilla had beaten them in recent times? A little struggle. Doesn't seem like, but a last La Liga game, they came out all smoking. Absolutely. So one that one could worry about. I'm wondering which other game. Well, Boda Glimt have Juventus, Borussia Dortmund, Villarreal, Napoli against Karabakh, Slavia Praga against Athletic Club.
Galatasaray is the game for me.
Olympic Marseille against Newcastle United. Galatasaray, Union Saint-Gilloise, not one of those big games anyway. Just because of Victor Osimhen. We have to bounce here. Thank you, Fonitina, being a part of it. We hope Timothy David gets fit to return. Definitely. Otherwise, he's missing out. He wouldn't have a medal from these tournaments we're playing. Is that conversation? Thank you for watching. My name is Vladimir Kim. Tomorrow, it's another day.